as we've seen with some of the cases like Zach has been involved with, like Samurai and Tornado Cash, they're going to try to blame a human. If your bot does something bad, like Zach, you're running an agent and it does something bad, they're gonna, and it's based off of your core sort of cloud account, for example. They're coming at you right now the same way they came at Tornado Cash and Samurai for doing for different reasons. But I wonder how that eventually, and I think I'm just echoing what Zach said, that paradigm is going to break. Right now, they can subpoena your stuff and see what you did, and then put you in jail because you told them to do something illegal or terrible. Once these are autonomous, that's gone. But I don't know what that means though. Like, am I still paying for the Claude? Who's paying? Am I still paying for Enterprise Plus? Is the Mac Mini still at my house? And so yeah,
maybe it has a.
The more we talk about, the worse it gets, right?
Maybe it's a Bitcoin tip jar. Maybe as a Bitcoin tip jar. Maybe it goes and steals people's wallet, right? It goes and looks for hot wallets that are secured by a non-private key password, and it steals people's Bitcoin. And it's not. I'm giving once the problem is there really kind of is this event horizon where once it's sufficiently agentic. What are you supposed to, right?
Zach, one thing we talked about, I think maybe when Pines was still on the podcast was what's going to happen to open source AI. And right, Ken, what you're talking about is, okay, we're going to go to these walled garden, LLM frontier labs. We're going to say, okay, we tracked this query back to this particular account. We want you to either shut it down or we want to, see the chat history. It seems like the open source AI problem actually is pretty significant when we get further down to this. Mm-hmm. So Zach, I don't know if you've changed your view on that at all. If you think that open source AI will continue to exist. Yeah,
definitely continue to exist. I think it is unclear whether open source or closed source is going to win out in the end. But
and do you think they're going to ban it?
Maybe, yeah. Now that doesn't mean it goes away. They can try and ban it. But, I mean, it's in some ways it's like banning Bitcoin, right? You're banning math. That's really hard, and not really difficult math. Not like how do I specifically engineer a hydrogen bomb? Like math that a lot of people have access to in the age of the internet.
I don't know, man. They ban math in U.S. public schools, so they can probably ban it. Sorry.
No, that's good. Okay.
Also, just to check, we did a whole episode a year ago about AI 2027, and in that timeline, AI 2026 is the year that agents start to work and that creating software becomes trivially easy. I think there was a time, I think AI 2027 freaked a lot of us out at the time. And then it's this was way too optimistic a timeline for AI. It's way off. We should push it back to the 2030s at least. And now it's no, we seem to be right on target. So when we talk about this event horizon, right, there's where we are now, there's where I think we're inevitably going, which is the economy is changed forever in a way that's hard to understand. Then there's the slightly farther than that, everything is sci-fi world and agents are doing stuff we can't comprehend. And then maybe slightly farther than that is the end of the world. And
but you have to assume they'll do things in their nature, right? That's what things do. They do things that are in their nature to do. AI is going to evolve to become more autonomous. It's going to evolve to gain more authority because that's probably just in its nature to do that. I remember. Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
I would say aside from in its nature, who knows kind of what that means, right? But there's a large academic literature on this about this concept of instrumental convergence, which says listen, we got to be totally agnostic about what these things are and what they're going to want and how they're going to think because we have no idea and it's going to get stranger and more powerful. But is there stuff that we can have high confidence on? And that's this idea of instrumental convergence, regardless of what it wants. Are there subparts of that they're likely to want? And so resources and money and power and whatever are things that in the AI sort of safety community research, the thesis is that you can bet it's going to want something like Bitcoin because that is useful for, we're not going to know what it wants at the end of the day, but Bitcoin is going to be a useful tool to get whatever that thing is.
We've got 5 minutes left. I want to do something fun here at the end after a nice serious conversation. What does this mean for Bitcoin on a pre 2030 basis? And you don't have to give a price prediction, but is this actually going to get used?
As in, will agents use Bitcoin? Yes, 100%. I think they will. I'm confident of that. Again, I've been joking, like, maybe people don't, lately, no one wants to buy it. Maybe like the autistic AI agents will want to buy it because the humans aren't buying it right now. Why is price going down? Well, there's more sellers than buyers. Besides that, yes, I know, 100%. I do believe it's going to happen. As Zach said, it's already happening at a small scale. It's just a function of when agents are able to do it on their own, and they somehow, whatever that means for an agent to recognize value, whatever that means, whatever logic has to happen inside the agent for it to realize that, it's going to want more, and it's going to ask others to be able to. I think this is the trick. It recognizes value, and then it tells others, in order to exchange value, it wants that thing. That thing will be Bitcoin, and I think that's where you cross them. You convince your agent to build it, build the wallet. It's like Bitcoin. It expresses its gratitude. But it's when it is able to convince others, and then in order for them to have a relationship, some kind of economic relationship, it will ask for this in return, Bitcoin in return. And I think once that happens, the fuse is lit. It's just a question of when it takes off. But I actually think it'll be really. I do believe it'll be really, really fast.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think the second order consequences that seem likely to be, one thing. What does this give Bitcoin before 2030? Well, bullish for price, it gives it a new narrative, right? It gives a new thing for Bitcoin to be about, right? Like, people are understanding the debasement trade. Unfortunately, they're playing it the wrong way. But when it's like the debasement trade plus AI can use it, I think that will be hard to ignore. And so I think, like, people are going to talk about Bitcoin as a very different type of tool before 2030 than they talk about it now. I think the digital part of digital gold is deeply underappreciated where we're going with the sort of digitization of our entire economy. I think the flip side of the coin is, like, it's also before 2030 going to be a very difficult policy problem. And I think that we in particular are going to spend a lot of time dealing with really difficult questions.